Hello everybody, Dave and Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelorette Nation News. In this video, we have more commentary regarding the Tino, Aven, Rachel love triangle. As we know, Aven surprised Rachel in a moment after the final rose, her Bachelorette finale, while Tino was sitting right next to his former fiance. Some are saying this made Tino a martyr when Rachel should have been, and it was a bad look. Others have said it's a public execution, a flogging. We're going to continue this conversation. Did Aven know about this? Rachel shares her side of the story. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals. I'm also on Patreon. I'll be live on the 10 a.m. hour today, patreon.com/Dave Neal. So before we get into this story, don't forget it's our Teacher of the Day. As we've done this whole month, we're donating to different teachers across the country. So this is our teacher. If you guys want, you can donate to some different items she has for as little as $3. I mean, guys, there's no excuse not to. If you can afford it, definitely click the link in the comment below. It'll be in the pinned comment, and you can just add an item to the cart. It goes directly to a teacher in need. All right, so we're going to cover this story a little bit farther in depth. Cruel and unusual. Ashley Iaconetti said, I'm really, truly upset by the way that moment was handled. It was cruel. We can support Rachel and not absolutely publicly demoralize someone. This is the conversation at hand. Now, stick around for the last segment of this video. I'm going to share a wild reveal by Chris Randone on the She's All Batch podcast, where he said you had a former contestant on the brink of suicide. He reveals who that is, and of course, trigger warning for that conversation, we will be discussing suicide and the mental health aspect of being on a show in the public's eye. It's one thing to be edited a certain way that's deceiving and not your true character. It's another to have to deal with the wrath of thousands and or millions of strangers. We all think, oh, this is what you sign up for. You should expect that you can control how it all goes down and how you feel. That is victim blaming. That is saying she asked for it because she wore a mini dress and walked down an alley. That's victim blaming. What was she wearing? Had she been drinking? That type of thing that we completely disavow. That's not how things should go down. We need to throw the gender out and say, is this really the productive way for a TV show operated and funded by ABC, owned by Disney? Is this the proper way to deal with a relationship? And of course it went too far. And again, Rachel's going to explain right here from her mouth what she thought about it and what Aven thought about it after it went down. But first, I want to share Dear Shandy's review of it because I absolutely love the way they review it. And of course, shout out to Dear Shandy.
I love me some Dave Neal.
You're on the soundboard, baby. So I responded, my thumbnail game is fire. Much love to the Shandy family. I'm a fandy of Shandy. Tess said I'm going to like this comment and nod a number of times. And Leslie said, I feel like I'm back in elementary school, and you get a pit of excitement in your belly when you see your teacher at the store or outside of school and you realize, wow, they don't live in the school and they have a life. This is me when I see Dave on another channel. Just me? All right, you guys are fantastic. We love Charlene and Andy, and here's their recounting of what went down. Trust me when I say I think they more often than not are the most accurate or some of the best recappers and understand the tone in which the audience sees the show. Have a watch.
It reveals there's someone else who demanded the chance to talk with her.
Aven.
Andy's face palming over here. So Aven comes out now and the crowd goes wild.
Oh, your puppy got ran over by a car? Here's a new puppy. Like this puppy. It's cuter than the old one.
So Rachel is glowing when she sees him.
I love Andy's use of humor to point out how absurd this is. Absolutely fantastic.
Aven asks if she wants to go catch up, and she says she'd love nothing more. Meanwhile, Tino looks like he just wants to get off that stage so badly.
Oh, poor guy. I mean, at this point, he's become a martyr. Well, he's been martyred.
This is what it's so funny. This show cannot help itself. This is what happens over and over and over again. So first they made Rachel a martyr, right? So there were several scenes where people were like, "Oh, Rachel's kind of," but then it comes a point where everyone lays it on so thick and like hating on her that she becomes the martyr, and you just feel bad for her like we did last week. And then it happened again with Tino here. It's like the public flogging. Okay, he did a shitty thing. And then to have Aven come out while Tino's still on the stage to whisk her off. It was sick.
That was inappropriate. That was a true public execution.
I really wish they wouldn't do this because they had their villain. Tino was their villain. He looked terrible. Let him off the stage and then bring Aven out. Instead, here we are feeling bad for Tino. They went too far.
There were so many things wrong with this.
Yeah.
What does this do for like women empowerment?
Oh my God.
It's like, oh, you don't have a man?
Yeah.
Oh, here's a man. Here's just like another man.
It's a participation trophy is what I've said it is.
It's so frustrating to watch. They need to slap this happy ending on, but you know what a happy ending isn't? Is a woman just being like, you know
On
what?
her
I'm
own.
going to be single for a while. I'm strong.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh, no.
By the way, I'm noticing something. We have breaking news. You guys know we've been following the Illuminati as it runs its way rampantly through Bachelor Nation. And look what we have here. What is Andy wearing on his socks? Now, we need the X-Files music here because we've really been covering some very fascinating and nefarious, some might say, moments going on. If we actually can move this right there and layer over it, Dale's toes at apparently not a 45-degree angle. I had that wrong, guys. These are not 45. The teachers really told me that these are not 45-degree angles. This is, but either way, bunions aside, we've got some clues pointing in the direction right here of Andy. What that means, I have no idea. Is it important? I'll let you guys decide. Continue the conversation. You guys are doing a fantastic job.
No. We can't have that.
We can't have that. We need a happy ending.
Just
a happy
fresh
ending
meat.
is not a single woman.
Yeah, get some fresh meat in.
Yeah, we need a man to make this happy. How?
They try to recreate the Tyler Cameron, Hannah Brown moment. Look, it's just different. No offense to Aven, but by the way, that moment was fabricated too. Tyler Cameron wasn't going to date Hannah Brown. I mean, sure, he stayed over. Tyler Cameron and Hannah Brown had a better shot than Aven and Rachel. The Aven and Rachel scenario was like, and it was alluded to once they left. I wonder what they're doing in the parking lot. You had Tony's like, what is he getting a hand job what's going on out there? You know? And then Tino's just like jaw off the ground. Now you might say the production didn't mean to do this. Reality Steve sent out a spoiler half an hour before the show aired saying that this was exactly what was going to happen. And then it happened live. My only thought was maybe they were supposed to have Tino off the stage, but it's all teleprompter. Like there would have been a line in Jesse's teleprompter that says, all right, thank you. Like everyone give Tino a round of applause. You can leave now. And guess what? And then Tino walks away. And now we have this. And it's at least gets him off the screen.
How pathetic.
And it's still pathetic, but it's different. It's not as pathetic.
Is that?
And a man who was up until that point a villain, sort of.
Yeah, borderline villainized by the same show, but now he's not bad because he's there to replace the actual bad guy.
And part of me feels like if it weren't for the humiliation, it was almost like a tag team wrestling thing. He's like, sweet man, I'm tired. He just tagged him out. He's like, you take it, Aven. I'm good.
And that really, for years with my recaps, I've been talking about my beef with this musical chairs approach to dating, as though they're all replaceable. Literally an hour earlier, we heard Rachel and Tino say that they're soulmates. Yeah. There's no one else in the world for them. They found their perfect match. And then it's like, oh, that didn't work out. Well, I'll go for the next guy. Yeah. It's like...
Bingo. All right. Again, hit the nail on the head. Dear Shandy, as always, go find them on YouTube. Charlene Joint's YouTube, Dear Shandy, just hit the nail on the head. They made a martyr out of Tino. He was the bad guy. And now we have to look at it where we go, okay, you were the bad guy, but also, did two wrongs make a right? An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, right? Here's what Rachel has to say.
And I mean, Aven coming on stage last night really ultimately was just him showing his support for me and knowing that like it was going to be a really tough decision, and anything that happens after this, like it's going to be very organic and not rushed at all.
The more people said that it was to put a smile on your face, I got it more because I think
pity.
Yeah, no,
pity.
yeah,
because I think a lot of people, and a lot of ex. You're all right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
a lot of no, I'm not.
A lot of the
Yikes.
ex-contestants and people who are very vocal about the show still had felt that was inappropriate, I think, is what a lot of
their opinions
Well, he
landed
didn't
too.
know.
Aven
It's
on
like
stage with
Aven.
Tino, you're
Yeah,
saying.
Aven
Aven
on
didn't know
on
that
stage
was
with
gonna
Tino.
happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
he was upset about it. He never wanted that to happen.
Will there be a moment where we say, Tino didn't deserve that? Will we get that?
And he was not happy that there
Yeah.
was a crossing on stage. There was no one's intention. I mean, so many things are happening at once. So I mean, ultimately, I just don't want there to be blame on like him or like it wasn't his intention.
Well, no, and I think people would assume that because there is a production value here, and it did
TV show.
It did kind of feel like a WWE moment. Like they were like, and here comes Aven.
Yeah,
Bring out the X.
He's gonna knock him out.
It did feel like at one point I was like, what the fuck are we watching? Like,
I know.
Seriously, like what is happening? This is so off the rails, but
This is my button I'm going to be using when I agree with something. So I don't have to say I'm agreeing. You're just going to hear the buzzer.
it was a lot to take in. And then, of course, Gabby, we saw your proposal. And
All right, so that's it. So just okay. I mean, I get that Rachel doesn't need to worry about Tino, but we'll talk a little bit more about this because they obviously we have to do a lot of reading between the lines here because there's a lot that wasn't said between Rachel and Tino. We'll have that in another video today. But our final part of this video is what the hell went down on She's All Batch podcast. We know the ladies at She's All Batch podcast do a very fantastic job having conversation with guests that we're not going to hear from the mainstream Bachelor outlet. And here is their conversation with Chris Randone. Of course, go to their Instagram, She's All Batch, their YouTube, their if you just go to their Instagram and hit the link tree, you'll see a link to all of the different ways you can watch and listen to their podcast.
You had a former contestant on the brink of suicide, not once, but twice, and didn't do shit. Luckily, that person had some people that actually care. Why?
And again, I've already mentioned the trigger warning, but this conversation is directly about suicide.
Wasn't there help? Because that person wasn't a part of Bachelor Nation royalty. Do you want to elaborate? We obviously don't need to name the person.
Surprise, that person was me. So I was speaking on myself, and he still never even responded to that tweet. The franchise knew that something was going on with just my mental state and how I was feeling. They knew that what I was feeling, there was just like no compassion there or empathy. I think if it wasn't for Kelly and Kelly Flanagan, Kelsey, I actually probably might not be here.
Wow. That's what we're dealing with, folks. Now, where morally do the producers draw the line with the playing and the manipulating and the pressing their foot down on the scale of the mental health of these contestants? Where do we draw the line? We talk about the Greek, the mythology of flying too close to the sun, right? The guy flies too close to the sun with his little wings that are made out of wax, and the wax melts, and then he crashes, right? That's how it goes. I don't know. Teachers, let me know. I'm not an expert with my Greek mythology here. But are the producers flying too close to the sun? I mean, if Chris Randone, chooses to end his life there, this is a completely different conversation. What we have here with Chris Randone is a man grappling with what must be one of the hardest moments of his life, sharing it for others when so many of us don't have the courage to share. That's brave. And that's something we need to celebrate and we need to highlight and we need to talk more about, because there are former contestants that ended their life in part because of what the show brought on. And those that lack empathy in the audience will say, well, Dave, they know what they signed up for, which I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair to say, wow, people knew what they signed up for, so because of that, hey, let's just completely manipulate the edit, manipulate how we handle absolutely everything that goes down when it comes to the contestants' livelihood, because they're not getting paid to be contestants. They are getting paid if they are on the next level of being a lead or being on Bachelor in Paradise, sure. But we've got moments where we have former leads playing with these scenarios with regards to Tino. Should we kick his ass? I work out. And I get it. I'm still trying to take the high road, says Michelle. Let's just keep our mouth shut and meet him out back after the show. I understand the humor here. I get it. But when it comes to trying to have empathy for others, the hardest thing that we have to grapple with is having empathy for people that don't look like us, whether it be sex, whether it be someone from a different socioeconomic place, politically, whether it be someone who looks different racially. It's harder to have empathy for someone who's not us. It's much easier for me as a straight white guy to empathize with another straight white guy in an issue he might have. Maybe a Chris Randone or someone like that. What's important, though, is when we look at how these conversations go down is say, let's not flame the fire that the Bachelor producers lit. Let's just completely, we demand contestants release statements when something goes wrong. Of course, and I think that's okay to want someone like Eric to discuss his blackface and apologize for stuff like that. But the producers get to be faceless. They get to turn the keys on their car and drive home and not have to deal with the outcry from the manipulation that took place to make a bad situation worse. And my question to everyone out there is, what are we going to do about it? Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment. We're going to keep on discussing the fallout from the Bachelorette finale. Of course, go check out She's All Batch. Go check out Dear Shandy and the other podcasts. And we'll have more from the Chicks in the Office with Rachel and Gabby's conversation. Link in the comment section to our Teacher of the Day. Go check that out. I'm on Patreon at 10 a.m. We'll see you there. Bye, guys.